we return. As promised, you're listening to America's Voice Now. My name is Michael Evans. I'm your host this morning. We're in segment 2. Today is 9/20. I want to remind you, tomorrow morning is a ham radio course that's being cranked up. You can start attending this course tomorrow morning. It'll be held at the K Highway, South Howell County Ambulance Department building. It's being taught by John Price. He's a ham radio. He's the president of the Ham Radio Association. And basically, it will teach you everything that you need to know about operating and getting a license for ham radio. Now, even if you're not interested in getting the license, the one thing I can say to you is that they cannot take knowledge away from you that you have gained. And so I would strongly encourage you to obtain a ham radio license, because we do know that during natural disasters, man-made, whatever, that ham radio is one of the best ways to communicate. In fact, it may at some point in time be the only way to communicate. And the last thing you want to be doing is standing there with a ham radio that would allow you to communicate for all intents and purposes, but to you it's just a brick because you don't know what to do. So I encourage you to attend this class if at all possible. It's on the back side of the ambulance building. You can drive around the back of it. It's on K Highway, South Howell County Ambulance Department building. All right? So if you have questions about it or you'd like to ask John a question, there is a book you got to buy. I think it's like $20, and it gives you, all the information you need to study for the test. 417-372-1135 is his phone number. His name is John Price. He's our ham radio preacher. He's our teacher, but he's also a preacher, by the way. 417-372-1135. John's a great patriot, and I encourage you to participate in that class. In fact, I think I'm going to go tomorrow morning as well. I can't get a ham radio license, by the way, folks, because I have a felony in my background, as most of you know, for a crime I didn't commit, but nonetheless it's a felony, and I am forever barred from getting a ham radio license according to the Federal Communications Commission. Don't you love that one? So I don't know how one equates to the other, but just another example of the injustice that lives on in America every single day. Ham radio, by the way, came out, the FCC came out with a mandate yesterday that you can no longer encrypt communications over ham radio. The idea, of course, is that they need to be able to spy on ham radio like they can spy on your cell phone and your internet searching and your phone calls and everything else. So I think that's pretty pathetic, but whatever. I mean, I'd say I'll do what the hell I want anyhow. And you all can chase me down if you think I'm doing something wrong. But anyway, I don't advocate breaking the law. But come on, guys. You can't encrypt ham radio communications. Why? Because the FCC and the NSA can't monitor it? Is that what this is really about? I mean, there's no other excuse. So, because, you're broadcasting to somebody who obviously has the ability to decrypt what you're sending, or there's no point in you sending it. So why can't you have a private conversation? Privacy is dead in America, folks. All right, I do want to update you on our news station, 99.3 FM, KUNQ. It's called Big Country 99. I have coined a new phrase for these guys. This is a country music station, and they are doing something which is unique, which is splitting their broadcasts. So by day, they are a country station. By night, they are patriots. So they swap their cowboy hat for a tri-corner patriot hat, and off we run. 10 to midnight, Monday through Friday, 10 to midnight. AVN will be on. It'll be a recorded broadcast. It'll be essentially what you hear in the mornings here live, and you're welcome to join us there. It is 99.3 FM. You can also call into our listen lines at area code 712-432-5339 or 213-992-4323. Those lines are both open from 6 a.m. till 8 a.m., and you can catch America's Voice by listening if you're out on the road and you just want to dial in on a cell phone and you got a long ride ahead of you. Perfect way to do that. 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. And also 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. You can dial into 712-432-5339 or 213-992-4323. Those are our listen lines. Make sure you visit our sponsor and our friend over at libertynewsradio.com and my good friends over at Liberty Roundtable. Right after me on Monday through Friday, from midnight to 2, Vince Finelli will be on with USA Prepares. Great show. Excellent for those of you who are in the prepping community. Make sure that you are getting a chance to listen to Vince. He's got some great guests he brings on. After that, the lineup will be Sam Bushman from the Liberty Roundtable, and that will be from 2 to 4 in the morning, and then 4 to 6 will be Joyce Riley from the Power Hour. Good friends of ours. We are going at this project as a collective group, all 4 of us as the center of a larger nucleus of patriotic radio hosts. So, okay. I just want to throw one more thing out there before we get into this SSRI thing, and that is I want to make sure that you get a chance to visit with one of our sponsors, which is the Battery Station. You can get to their website by going to batterystation.com. You can call them at 417-257-7799. Call and ask for Kevin there. They have every battery you can imagine. They have ammunition. They have a lot of ammunition. They have all kinds of tactical gear. They have freeze-dried food. They have all kinds of preparatory stuff that preppers want. They've got flags and all kinds of stuff. They've got battery chargers and battery extenders and these little devices that you can plug in and recharge your phone, and stuff like that, solar power stuff. Make sure that you get over there to see those guys. And if you have an opportunity to, they're right on Washington Avenue in West Plains. It's called the Battery Station. Their website is batterystation.com. You can get over there and take a look at some of their stuff. They don't update their website a lot, so don't go over there looking for inventory, but you can always find their information. 417-257-7799. Okay, it is confirmed, folks, that the Navy Yard shooter was on the antidepressant trazodone. Now, for the most part, trazodone is what the Veterans Affairs and VA offers to everyone who's got PTSD or any kind of a psychiatric diagnosis. And I got to tell you, this is just yet another example of the connection between psychotropic and psychiatric drugs and mass shootings. The issues with these drugs are very, very important for you to know about. If you are a recipient of antidepressants, I got to tell you, most of America is on this crap. There's like 40% of Americans that are taking antidepressants, and they're giving them to our children. This stuff rewires the brain. We don't know what the long-term ramifications are, but we're beginning to see, and let me tell you, it does not look good. The truth of the matter is, these psychiatric and psychotropic meds have been found to be involved in, listen to this, people, 90% of all of these mass school shootings, and some quite not quite so mass, over more than a decade have been linked to these widely prescribed antidepressants called selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, or SSRIs. Now, the kid in Newtown was taking antidepressants. This guy in the Navy Yard was taking antidepressants. Everybody's been involved in these shootings for decades now, have been linked to these. And in fact, I found a website which I thought was very interesting. It's called SSRIstories.com. And it has an entire index of the school shootings and mass shootings. School shooting, Prozac withdrawal, 6 dead, 15 wounded, Illinois in 08. 05. School shooting, Prozac, Minnesota, 10 dead, 7 wounded. School shooting, Paxil, another one of these terrible ones. In 2001, 14-year-old girl shoots and wounds a classmate at a Catholic school. Zoloft, antidepressant, school shooting. In 2011, 14-year-old kills a middle school student. School shooting, Zoloft antidepressant. In 1995, 15-year-old shoots 2 teachers, kills one, then kills himself. School shooting on depression meds in Germany and France. They don't name them, but 16 dead, and a 17-year-old with a sword holds 20 kids and a teacher hostage in a school hostage situation in France. School shooting plot. Kid was on antidepressants, and he was going through withdrawal. He was plotting a Columbine school attack. School shooting at anafranil. I've not heard of that one before. In Illinois, in 88, 29-year-old woman kills a child, wounds 5, and then kills herself. School shootings, Luvox and Zoloft. Columbine. That was the Columbine. Those were the two drugs the two boys were on. In 1999, 15 dead, 24 wounded. Prozac antidepressant withdrawal, school shooting, Oregon, 4 dead, 20 injured. School stabbing, meds for depression in Washington in 2011. Girl, 15, stabs 2 girls in a school bathroom. 1 is in critical condition. Colorado in 2006, man assaults girl, kills 1 and himself. Antidepressants he was withdrawing from. School machete attack in Pennsylvania. Meds for depression was what the perpetrator was on. Man attacks 11 children and 3 teachers in an elementary school. Luvox, school shooting, Florida. Man commits murder during a clinical trial for Luvox. Same drug which was used in Columbine, by the way. School shooting, antidepressant withdrawal use in Texas. Man is angry over his daughter's report card, shoots 14 rounds inside of a school. School shooting, SSRI reuptake inhibitors. This was in Finland, 2008, Finnish student shoots and kills 9 students, then himself. School shooting threat, meds for depression in New Jersey. School shooting antidepressant use in Virginia, 2 of them. By the way, the Virginia guy who shot up the school in Virginia, he was also on an antidepressant. 33 dead in Virginia Tech. That was that one. 3 dead at the law school as well. Another school shooting was featuring Zoloft. School assault, antidepressant in California in 2009. School custodian assaults principal and another student. School shooting, Prozac was the antidepressant. School shooting, Celexa. School shooting, school violence and murder, antidepressant. Sheriff's deputy shoots his wife in an elementary school. I mean, look, the point is, folks, that the list goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. I haven't even read you a third of the list. What I'm telling you is this, that these antidepressants, Lexapro, Paxil, Celexa, Prozac, Wellbutrin, these are all very, very, very dangerous. Zoloft is another one. Effexor and Paxil. A lot of these are ADHD drugs too. And if your kids are on ADHD drugs, let me tell you something. First thing you need to do is understand that their diet is most likely the cause of their problem. It has very, very little to do with ADHD. There was a study that came out the other day that I read about that was astounding to me. These people found a direct correlation and link between the amount of gut bacteria that we have. In other words, this is the bacteria that's in everything from our mouth all the way down through our esophagus into our stomachs and then through our intestines, lower and smaller and larger intestines. When you don't have the appropriate bacteria in your gut, it causes depression, and in many cases, it causes even more, in severe cases, even more psychiatric disorders. In fact, they were talking the other day about how some of these studies that they're doing are saying that all of these problems that we're seeing with our children in terms of ADHD and the increases in so many other areas of psychiatric problems, in some cases, not all of course, but in some cases, in many cases, it is directly related to diet. And by literally improving the volume of the gut bacteria, they can eliminate the symptomatic problems that are associated and normally attributed to ADHD and ADD, hyperactive disorders, behavioral problems. So my point to you is this. In fact, you know what one of the things that I found was most interesting about that story? A lot of these kids that they studied actually had problems after they'd been through like a run of very strong antibiotics for some kind of a bacterial infection that they'd gotten. And as a result of taking these very strong antibiotics, which killed all the gut bacteria, that's when the symptoms began to show up. The ADHD, ADD, and these behavioral problems. when they reinstituted the bacteria back into the gut, the symptoms went away. So what that tells you is that you should be looking at your child and saying, what am I feeding my kid, number one? And number two, what do I got to do to go out and get the appropriate, and you're going to have to do some research, folks. This is not something you can, this is not something you can just gamble and experiment with. Go out there and do some homework on this, but be a dutiful and righteous parent and do this for yourself or your husband or your wife. Because if you are on these psychotropic drugs, you are in danger. You're in danger for two reasons. One, because it causes psychotic episodes, number one, in those people who would be predisposed but ordinarily wouldn't go over the cliff. The second issue is it makes you an apathetic zombie. You wonder why America doesn't care about what's going on and what's going wrong with our country. I'm telling you why they don't care. 40% of them are sitting there on happy utopia pills. Happy-topia pills make people sit around and say, yeah, that's a real shame. Hey, could you hand me that bag of potato chips over there? Let's turn on another sitcom. You see, you're missing life, and you're missing what you should be doing to understand what's happening around you. Your situational awareness is gone because the edge has been taken from you. Now, I get it. Depression's a terrible thing. And there are some people that, when actually, will commit suicide and things like that. But you know what? I'd rather have somebody commit suicide than commit suicide along with as many other people as they can drag down with them who are innocents in almost invariably gun-free zones. Almost every one of these school shootings, almost every massive, mass shooting and massacre that you've seen, every one of them occurs in gun-free zones. You know why? Because the people who are doing them are not so illogical and crazed that they don't know to pick a place where they know that they're not going to be able to be stopped. That's it, folks. I mean, they're rational enough to know, and most of them do not expect to walk away from their experience. In fact, what they're trying to do is force suicide by cop. Or once they reach the end of their ammunition or the end of their run, when they know that there's nobody else around to shoot and they can't leave the room before they get shot, they blow their own brains out. Don't you understand that you are being experimented on by Big Pharma? And I'm going to tell you something that really is disturbing. And a lot of Americans don't think of it this way, but you should be. And I'm going to tell you why. The mass media, the Ministry of Propaganda, is not giving you the truth about these issues with serotonin and psychotropic drugs. And I'm going to tell you why. They are afraid of losing the advertising revenue and the cash cow that comes from Big Pharma. Now, I want you to just think about it for a moment. How many times are you watching television and all the commercials that you're seeing over and over and over again are for Cymbalta? Cymbalta is supposed to be one of these drugs that is for like joint pain. Well, why must it have an SSRI incorporated into it? Cymbalta, by the way, is on this list of serotonin reuptake inhibitors that have actually, this guy actually won a court case, not guilty by reason of Cymbalta-induced insanity when he killed his wife. You got to be kidding me. So the point is this. These antidepressants are the main cause of the psychiatric disconnect in what's going on with all of these mass shootings. And you can directly correlate the rise of Big Pharma's pushing of legal drugs on America with the rise in mass shootings. You don't need an FBI study to show you that, folks. You can just look at it. Since the SSRIs came out some 10 or 15 years ago, every shooting is related to them, number one. And number two, as soon as they came out, the shootings began. So you got to question, what the heck is happening here? Now, look, I'm no doctor, and I'm not trying to give you medical advice. What I am saying is you got to get off of this stuff if you're on it. And you got to find any way that you can to grab yourself by the bootstraps and get rid of this medicine. It is addictive, first and foremost, because you think you can't live without it. And the truth of the matter is, I guarantee you can. Yes, there may be some people who cannot live through their depression. But I got to tell you something else. Those people who can't live through their depression are the kind of people who would ordinarily take their own life, but not drag 12 or 15 or 20 kids with them until they're on an antidepressant. Then they kill themselves anyway, and they take a whole bunch of innocents with them. I mean, look, people kill themselves, and they've always killed themselves. All throughout human history, people have committed suicide. And they've committed suicide for things that have nothing to do with depression, honor, and all kinds of other stuff. Suicide is a part of the makeup of the species of humanity. And so, I get the fact that people don't want to walk around depressed. But at the same time, I'm telling you that more often than not, you will find that by changing your diet and reincorporating the appropriate gut bacteria, you will have an opportunity to at least get off that medication. Now, there's another product I want to tell you about, and I'm not one of these guys that's out there pushing products, but I want you to call Kevin over at the battery station if you're on an SSRI and you want to get off of it. And by the way, you should never just cold turkey yourself off these SSRIs, because that's when these psychotic episodes most often happen. So you should wean yourself off of these things slowly. In other words, you take your dosage and you reduce it, and then you live that way for a month, and then you reduce it a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more until you get to the point where you can actually quit it. But the Kevin has a product that helps you to kind of flush this stuff out of your system. And if you can call him, he's over at the battery station. You can find his information at batterystation.com, but you can also give him a call at 417-257-7799. And he's got a product over there which actually helps you to flush this stuff out of your system. In other words, you have a toxic buildup of this that, like any other drug, when you take it for long extended period of time, it builds up in your system. That's why they tell you when you start these antidepressants, you're not even going to notice it for the first month. And then suddenly you'll start to notice the effects of it, because it takes it that long for it to build up in your system to the point where it actually is effective. Well, guess what, folks? It also takes that long to get out of your system, or longer. So I'm encouraging you to do whatever you can to get off of these SSRIs. There's a number of articles out there that are talking about it. If you'd like this index to this SSRI thing, it's called SSRIstories.com. And they have an entire index up there, and I'm telling you guys, it is frightening to read how many of these, and it's not just school shootings, it's bank robberies, murders, all kinds of violent events. Then it has all kinds of other stuff in there, like clinical trial manipulation and alcohol abuse. And you see, what these SSRI inhibitors do is they change the wiring of your brain. And man, I mean, realistically, if you're going to sit there and tell me that you trust Big Pharma with your psychiatric basic makeup, I think that's just darn foolishness. These people don't have your best interest at heart. What they are interested in is making a lot of money. But the real reason the Ministry of Propaganda isn't talking about this, especially related to the shootings, is they do not want the advertising pulled that is paid for by literally dozens and dozens of these companies that promote these psychiatric drugs. Look through any newspaper, magazine, look through your Reader's Digest, watch your television, listen to your radio. All you keep hearing about is magic pills that'll make your problems go away. Guess what? That money pays a lot of money to media. All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about our next topic, which is the Benghazi walkout by the Democrats in the midst of a hearing from the families of the Benghazi victims. All the Democrats in the room got up and walked out as soon as the parents began to speak. That is the height of insult and hubris, folks, and it's inexcusable. We're going to find and list the names of who did it, too. Stick with us for this break. We're going to give you their entire rundown and tell you each and every one who got up and walked out. It was unbelievable behavior. All right, you're listening to America's Voice.